I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round harmless phosphorescence. There she is, your host, Thoreau Smiley, who's joining me.
There she is. I'm Josh Cece, and I am preparing for nebula penetration.
So much for the little training cruise. I guess we're watching all of these movies. I'm Brian Lesh.
I never forget to face Alaric Weber, isn't it?
It is.
Admiral?
Admiral? Yeah, don't say it correctly.
Yeah, Admiral. There's so many accents saying Admiral
I
in
know.
this movie. Chekhov and Scotty.
They were literally made in test tubes, but they're like, give this guy a vaguely Latin accent.
Yeah. Remember the eugenics wars of 1996? They were crazy.
They were so crazy. Everyone wearing flannel.
Go. Yeah. This is Harmless Phosphorescence. It's a deep dive movie podcast where we pick a theme or series, we watch the movies, we gather some research into the production and source material, and we tell you about it. This show is brought to you by patrons like executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Quartet. If you want to be a patron too, go to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. Lots of bonus content there. We've got a bunch of of shows on music, and there's some Star Wars shows on there. We do monthly movies. We just did, what was our last monthly movie? It was Surf Ninjas.
Oh yeah,
Surf Ninjas via executive producer Michael Beckwith. This month we're going to be slapping you upside the face with some Devil's Advocate, some hooah up in there.
how does this happen?
I ordered this without tomatoes. That's the Harmless Entertainment Monthly Movie. We check it out. $1 a month. That's all it takes for you to be part of the magic. This week on Harmless Phosphorescence, we are continuing our Star Trek series. We are doing the original series cast movies that Star Trek the Motion Picture through Star Trek VI The Undiscovered Country. This is our second week, and we are doing Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan.
Beyond the darkness, beyond the human evolution, is Khan, a genetically superior tyrant. Exiled to a barren planet, banished by a starship commander he is destined to destroy. Left for dead, he has survived.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up. There she is. There she is. Fire!
Shield's collapsing, Captain.
Can you evade their power? A few shots, son.
Not enough against their shields.
The base is starboard.
Scotty, I need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead.
I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me. Marooned for all eternity. Buried alive. Buried alive. Sean! Sean!
At the end of the universe lies the beginning of vengeance. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. What you what our listeners couldn't see is that they had a shot. The Enterprise is being shot up and everyone's like going to the side. But then there's just a shot of a flashing red sign that just says, commit.
I wonder if that's where, like in coding language, you commit. I wonder if that kind of thing came from Trek, because a lot of sci-fi bleeds into nerd stuff like that. But you commit a piece of code, like in GitHub.
Maybe.
Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Because commit. That's the fire
commit
signal. Like you have committed to firing the phasers.
It's the sign that flashes when you go on a Tinder date.
Also, the sign is like a foot wide. I don't know why it needs to be that big.
Yeah, you have to see from across the room that it's time to commit.
But I mean, talk about listening to focus groups and the fans and having it pay off. Like, we just watched the motion picture, and that tried so hard to not be Star Trek. And this was like, you know what people like? Fucking Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We like away missions. We like battles in space. We like,
much
bad guys and good guys.
It's funny because, George Lucas was able to make 3 whole movies about, like trade negotiations and cardboard cutout actors standing around while he CGI'd everything. Gene Roddenberry only got 1 movie about really important moral ideas that are a thinly veiled allegory for current issues. Before Hollywood was like, no, Gene.
No.
But Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, it was released June 4th, 1982. Hell of a year at the movies. That was the first big sci-fi year. I mean, that's we got Blade Runner, we got The Thing. Really great year for sci-fi. June 4th, 1982. It has a running time of 113 minutes. It cost $12 million. The motion picture cost $40 million.
That is insane, because this looks so much better.
This looks incredible.
Because again, they got back to nuts and bolts. That show was not expensive. Nobody even wanted that show to happen. But we'll get to it as we go on. But and naming those other sci-fi movies, and again, we'll expand on that, I think. But this changed tones in a really cool way for sci-fi to come.
Right. For a very important reason. We'll get into that in the production too. But cost $12 million, made $97 million. It made a little less than the motion picture, about $15 million less, but it had such a lower budget that it was far more profitable. And pretty much guaranteed that they were going to be able to make a third one. Talking about the box office, let's just play the box office top 10 game. This is the game where I will describe the top 10 movies of the week of June 4th, 1982. Guys here are going to try to guess what movie I am describing. Wow. This is an interesting week. Outside of the top 10, we've got Diner at 14, Annie at 13. Which,
we've done.
Yeah, we did Annie.
We did
Annie. Victor Victoria at 12.
Was she a superhero?
It was comic book.
Oh, okay.
The
Adjacent.
non-superhero comic book.
Oh, she was
adjacent.
in the Tank Girl.
Yeah.
Popeye.
Brenda
Popeye,
Starr.
yeah.
Remember Brenda Starr?
Yeah.
The Star Ace reporter.
Yeah, Johnny Belinda's, all of them.
Chariots of Fire was number 11. And at number 10 at the box office, June 4th, 1982. If I say the first part of the sentence, it gives it away completely. I'll skip that part. A cynical drifter agrees to help a small community get rid of some troublemakers.
That's every Western.
I obfuscated the hell out of that. I left out everything that could possibly tell you what it is. This is technically a sequel, though it's kind of the first one that I think most of us were introduced to in what is also a very interesting sci-fi series. Sci-fi, I mean, yeah, it's technically sci-fi.
A hired gun?
Not a
Sounds
hired
very-
gun. A cynical drifter.
Oh.
This
Is the drifter Clint Eastwood?
he is not Clint Eastwood. The cynical drifter.
I disagree.
I'm out.
The cynical drifter is one of the premier anti-Semites of the 80s.
Oh,
He
Mel
was-
Gibson?
Mel Gibson.
Yes, indeed.
Lethal Weapon 2.
No.
Oh no, this is
First-
Mad Max.
Oh, wait, no,
Thunderdome.
sorry.
Yeah, Matt,
Oh, yes.
Or this is the first one, isn't it?
no, the
82.
No.
second.
No, this would be Thunderdome. Yeah.
No,
Road Warrior?
Thunderdome was the third one.
Road Warrior.
Thunderdome
Road
was
Warrior.
3. This is the Road Warrior, the sequel to Mad
Was
Max.
Thunderdome like 91?
No, Thunderdome
Yeah,
was
that's-
like 84.
That's another one where I
God.
think the second movie is better.
Yeah, absolutely. Road Warrior is way better than Mad Max.
Oh, yeah.
And Thunderdome's crazy.
Yeah,
better
it's
than
wild.
Thunderdome. I love Thunderdome as
Oh,
stupid
same.
as that movie is. Yeah.
It Tina turns me off.
It was weirdly the Return of the Jedi of the Mad Max original trilogy in that, like,
Yeah.
suddenly there's kids and there's, like, a hit song and, like,
And wild outfits.
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Dune vibes.
Yeah. At number 9 at the box office this week, a mercenary just rediscovers his royal heritage's dangerous future when he's recruited to help a princess foil the designs of a brutal tyrant. A brutal
He's
tyrant.
brutal. I love that word now.
Brutal tyrant.
She was brutal. I've met her.
This is Empire, right?
No,
Still in theaters?
no, not Empire. This is a Sword and Sandals film, or Sword and Sorcerer film. In fact, I just gave it
Legend?
away. It's The Sword and the Sorcerer.
Oh,
I was describing it, then realized it's just the name of the genre.
Literally cast the mold when they made that one.
Yeah. The Sword and the Sorcerer, number 9. At number 8 this week. Oh, this is, okay. There were a weird number of film noir parodies in the early 80s, and this is one of them. A
Is this
detective under
Dead Men
Men
Don't
don't wear
Wear-
plaid.
Dead Men Don't Wear
Yep.
Plaid. Also,
Alan, I couldn't
which,
get it out.
which do you
fast enough.
prefer, that one or Johnny Dangerously?
Johnny Dangerously.
Yeah, for sure. At number 7 at the box office, this is one that I am actually not familiar with. Wow. Only one on the list I'm not familiar with. A deranged, misogynistic killer assaults a journalist. When he discovers that she survived the attack, he follows her to the hospital to finish her off. Can I find out?
Prime sus. No.
Yeah,
just
this
trying to
I
think
had
of-
never heard of this one before, actually. Who? This stars Michael Ironside, Lee Grant, and William Shatner.
Wow. I don't know.
Weird.
That reduces it down because it's a Shatner movie now. Like,
It's a Canadian psychological slasher film.
he's a violent murderer, but
What
he's
is
very
that?
polite.
What's
It's
the
the last 10 minutes of a hockey game.
right? What is the psychology of a Canadian?
Oh, sorry.
If I don't get my Tim Hortons, I'm going to kill somebody.
I'm going to kill all these motherfuckers.
The tagline is so frightening you'll never recover. It's called Visiting Hours. Yeah, I don't know.
Don't let the killer in during visiting.
Visiting Hours. Yeah.
Hey, are you the killer? I'm totally not. All right. Visiting hours are
friend
open.
and family, actually.
At number 6 at the box office this week, it's 1954, and a group of high schoolers are trying to help their buddy lose his virginity.
Oh, Lords of
Porky's.
Flatbush?
No,
Oh,
what'd you say, Al?
Porky's?
Porky.
Oh,
yeah.
Just another Porky's baby.
I'm just another Porky's baby.
What is that from?
The Office with Phyllis.
Oh.
She gave a baby away when she was like
That's
16.
right, Aaron.
She's like, but Porky's had just come out. Aaron's like, yeah, I'm probably just another Porky's baby.
Such a great line.
Oh my God. I love when they make nothing seem like it's a thing that we're all aware of. Porky's baby. And the great Porky's baby boo. The economy's so good, and drilled holes in locker room walls are awesome.
Was it, Mr. Donahue, your mother switched from the Plaza Hotel. She says that the porter had a beard and she, quote, doesn't want to be raped.
Mrs. Donahue is wild.
At number...
Oh, yeah. Her church is Our Lady of Reluctant Integration.
Yes.
In Boston. Worcester, but yeah.
At number 5 at the box office this week, a powerful warrior seeks to avenge the genocide of his people and the murder of his parents at the hands of
Conan the Barbarian.
a snake cult. Conan the Barbarian.
Caldor the Civic Works.
yeah, Caldor the Comptroller.
All right. Conan. I didn't know it was the same year. How fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 2 in this that we've done in this list. At number 4 at the box office this week, opening at number 4. Oh, a completely innocent man named I forgot about this, named Michael Jordan. Not that one.
Yes.
This is 82.
Yeah, he was like a high school junior, I think.
Is drawn into a web of government secrets when a girl carrying a mysterious package gets into a taxi with him. When she's later murdered, Michael becomes the chief suspect and goes on the run.
The Fugitive?
This is like a
The Other Fugitive?
This is a comedy kind of thriller. Starring as Michael Jordan, Gene Wilder. Which I want to see the Michael Jordan biopic starring Gene Wilder.
Wait, is it Stir Crazy?
No, Gilda Radner. Kathleen Quinlan's in this. I saw this. I think
something about a red dress. Or
no, the lady in the woman in the red dress. That is also, but that's not this one. This one is called Hanky Panky.
Oh, yeah.
I watched this in the 80s. I don't remember much of anything about it.
Same.
At number 3 at the box office, a family's home becomes the center of paranormal activity.
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Yep.
This house is clean.
A movie really about shady real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
At the end of the day, this problem could have been solved.
It's always
beforehand.
It's always real estate. Always.
It is. Yeah, Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
That movie needs to open with a land recognition, just to a
groundbreaking
house. Yeah, this movie was filmed in L.A. on native ground.
That's what the terror was, the innocuousness of the suburbs.
God, we've done that, right? Did we do Poltergeist?
No.
For Halloween?
Have we? No,
For
I
a
don't think we
spooky
have.
I don't think so.
I don't think we've done Poltergeist.
Oh, that movie scared the hell out of me as a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Toby Hoop. It's so good.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so good.
Poltergeist 2, also I watched a lot, even though it's not nearly as good, but
that's a series.
That fucking preacher.
That third one is real fucking weird too,
Yeah,
because the girl is back in the third one.
And
God is in
but she
his holy
died during the filming of the third one.
Yeah.
Yep. So she has a weird mask. It's like a little person in a mask.
My God, we need to do those. Holy shit!
And it's Tom Skerritt. It's nothing but Skerritt in a penthouse.
Yep, exactly.
I watched all 3 of them before we did the podcast because I watched them all in sequence. I would have brought that up to you guys. Holy shit! Wow.
Yeah.
I can always watch Poltergeist. I mean, it's another one of those movies that was Spielberg adjacent, things Joe Dante did and Roberts. But
Spielberg
but still
allegedly shadow directed a lot of Poltergeist also.
Well, and thank goodness that he did that kind of thing. But there's a lot of movies we wouldn't have had. Like, he's not going to touch Gremlins with the 10-foot gremlin pole.
Yeah, no, but he'll absolutely.
But he made that movie.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's a Joe Dante.
I want to watch it, not make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I want to tell
that
you.
attitude.
No, yeah. Spielberg in the 80s was, I'm going to tell you how to make it, but you're going to make it.
Yeah, because I'm very busy with this mechanical
I can't be bothered except for all the times that I'm here being bothered to make this movie.
Listen, I have to explore being disappointed by my father. At number 2.
Disappointing my father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have The Life of Brian if it wasn't that George Harrison wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 2 at the box office this week. A boxer. I'll just leave it at that.
Rocky.
Which one?
Rocky 2.
2.
3.
3.
Oh, already Rocky 3, man.
3. By 82, it was
Wow.
3. Yeah, Rocky 4 was 84, I think. Or was it 85? I can't remember. But yeah, like Rocky was,
85 sounds right for Rocky 4.
by the
was
middle of
Russia.
the 80s, Rocky was done. For that time, obviously they
Right.
got legacy sequels later. And opening.
There's a great clip of Bill Burr doing a show in Philadelphia, and the crowd is just so drunk and obnoxious and shitty. And he's like, you know what? You know how dumb you people are? The hero of your city is Rocky, a fucking guy that didn't even exist. You fucking losers.
Well, I forget the other boxer that he mentions, but there's like an actual boxer that
Yes.
just has an incredible
Right.
record.
An
Who is
African American
black.
boxer. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
But no. No.
we
Hey.
put the fictional Italian at the steps of City
at,
Hall.
at least they had an athlete. Milwaukee has a statue of the Fonz.
Yeah.
Jesus
Oh, weird.
Christ.
No wonder we have a TV star president. We did this to ourselves.
New York has a statue of Ralph Cramden.
That's true.
There's
I mean, we put statues of
That's not the only
Christopher
one.
Columbus everywhere.
there's a
too.
statue
I mean,
of Captain Kirk in Iowa.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. There's a plaque for Angel the vampire in Ireland. That commemorates where he fictionally got turned into a vampire.
Wild. We'll do anything to not face reality.
Oh, reality sucks. Fuck that.
I'm immersed in popular culture for that reason.
And number 1 at the box office, with the assistance of the Enterprise crew, Admiral Kirk must stop an old nemesis, Khan Union Singh, from using his life-generating Genesis device as the ultimate weapon in this sequel to Star Trek the Motion Picture entitled Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Is it the Wrath of Khan?
No. Yeah, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan opens number 1 at the box office this week, which brings us to the production of the film itself.
I think it's one of the best movies ever made.
It's so good. It
belongs at least in the top 20 of cinema history.
It was really fun watching it and thinking about you guys watching it, because I've seen this movie a dozen times in my life, which is not that many times in like realistically considering the movie, but thinking of you guys thinking of this as like your top films. Oh my God, it's so fascinating, because our age difference is like, to me, it's still Star Trek. Like I've mentioned my aunt being a Star Trek fan and my mom being a Star Wars fan. I never got over the hump of this just being a Star Trek.
Right, just being a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
But I'm so fascinated that you guys consider this to be one of the greatest films. Like it's like a Godfather movie.
It's
and you're not alone.
It's a seminal film in my childhood. I was watching this the middle 3 trilogy to this the same amount that I was watching the original Star Wars trilogy, like just over and over again.
And it's like the Big Lebowski for I can recite every single line. Mm-hmm. There are lots of comedy, like Blazing Saddles. I can quote a lot of it, but I can't speak the dialogue along with the characters. This is one where I don't even have to be looking.
Yeah.
As a testament to how good this movie is, I would like to read this line from Wikipedia. In December 2024, the film was deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant by the United States Library of Congress and selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Makes
Belongs
sense.
there.
It is culturally significant, for sure.
Oh, very much so. So I was very disappointed when watching it with Jude, and he was like, "Yeah, it was good. 3.5 out of 5 stars." I'm like, oh, "Damn it!
Shut up.
I failed
But
you.
I understand.
I failed you
Like-
as a parent by not indoctrinating you to Star Trek."
But I get that. I get not that I don't give it a 3.5 necessarily, but I get the perspective difference because I am just that much more removed than you guys were from this being in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I mean, you made an interesting point. Like, it's a good Star Trek movie to you.
Yeah.
This we did a little musical Moby Dick that we wrote one time, and the majority of it were quotes from Wrath of Khan, obviously, intentionally. But what's fun is this movie is mostly literary quotes and philosophical quotes from elsewhere. It's mind-boggling how little original lines are in this script, but it's just about how they're delivered.
There's a ton of
Wow.
Shakespeare, obviously a ton of Moby Dick, a ton of Dickens.
Is this Moby
Melville.
Dick?
Yeah, it's literally Moby Dick. He says,
Literally, you
"Darcy."
said it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Moby Dick.
Khan quotes Moby
just
Dick.
now.
Khan quotes Moby Dick, like paraphrases
Constantly.
Moby Dick constantly.
In fact, his dying, that's Ahab's, like from the heart of hell I stab at thee. From
He says, "There she is,"
Yeah.
which is a quote of "The Heart She Blows."
Yeah, which is so great, that moment. But, not to linger on what we had done, but that's how significant, it was that this dialogue was, and we didn't care if anyone caught it. But like Thoreau's opening, that's from Melville, but of course it's not, celestial. They kind of modified it for him, but it does end with perdition's flame. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best of times, the worst of times. And Spock quotes the Communist Manifesto, just like, it's nothing but literary and philosophical type quotes. God damn, it works so well.
Yeah, I think I have been and always shall be your friend is also Dickens, I believe.
That might be. Yeah.
I think it's also A Tale of Two Cities.
Mm-hmm. The how you face death is as important as how you face life. That's a quote from somewhere. I should look at, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
and how brilliantly it worked. None of it is contrived because these actors are committed.
I mean, okay, Shatner spent a decade doing Shakespeare summer stock in between the series, and like these are all theater classically trained actors.
And they all got a chance to. It's one of the best films as far as using the ensemble and mixing the ensemble up.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really good theatrical movie. Thinking of the stylistically, it's so damn theatrical. Like the performances are so exaggerated,
and
but
it's
still good. Yeah. Like it's not camp.
It's a movie.
No, it's good because
this is a movie-ass movie.
Yeah, this is a popcorn summer blockbuster. And then, like I said, if you were a diehard Star Trek fan and all you had is Star Trek the motion picture, you're probably feeling bummed. And then this came out, and it's a callback to the series with a character that's pretty innovative. Mm-hmm. Now it's done a lot, but so they created a nemesis off this one-off character. Again, away teams, crazy creatures, transporter,
Yeah, it was all the Star Trek stuff.
The motion picture really lacked a lot of that literary context.
The motion picture was kind of the ultimate distillation of what Gene Roddenberry's thing was, which, like I said, is like a very thinly veiled analog for a particular philosophical or political issue or concept that he was interested in exploring in a very cerebral way.
But
Sci-Fi
they decided to explore that visually. When it's a lot more complicated than visually.
With the robo butthole.
Mm-hmm. That's why, like, Roddenberry he came up from the 50s and 60s sci-fi with like Asimov and the like Heinlein, where it's like, yes, we're exploring ideas. We're using sci-fi to explore current issues, and he was that, but and on TV, he was forced to make it more entertaining. But once he was able to do a movie, he was like, but what if we just have the ideas and also belt buckle shirts?
Not the ideas even, just shots, just long, quiet, visual.
Well, and
This
one
still had
idea.
intense
This has
ideas.
multiple ideas in it. You know,
Yeah,
like characters have complex things that they have to decide to do. You know, that movie is just like,
it's that
what do we do?
Oppenheimer. It's that Oppenheimer type thing, like to create, I must destroy, sort of.
Yeah. Well, okay, and so coming off the motion picture, Roddenberry wrote a new script that he wanted to be Star Trek 2. It was his long gestating, often rejected idea that the crew of the Enterprise should go back in time to try to prevent the assassination of John F. Kennedy. He pitched this as a episode of the series. He pitched it here. I think he even pitched it for Next Gen at one point.
I'm sorry, I keep digressing. Did anyone see the interview with RFK Jr.? And he was asked if he had a time machine, if he could go back in time, what he would do. And he said he would not vaccinate his children. His uncle was assassinated. His dad was shot in the face. His aunt was lobotomized.
But no,
his uncle killed a lady in a car accident.
But no, he's gonna.
Nope.
He's gonna.
Cousin died in a plane crash. There's
yeah. He's gonna use that to make sure his kids get measles.
Right. Fucking sorry. All right.
All right. So the executives at Paramount, Katzenberg, Eisner, they basically saw Roddenberry's script and said, "No, Gene, we're not gonna do that." I
think that would have ruined Star Trek.
Yeah, it would have been the end of Star Trek.
Time travel. Yeah.
As opposed to this movie that saved Star Trek.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this movie that saved Star Trek, but also that's funny considering Star Trek 4 was their most well-received movie ever.
But that was a reason to go back in time.
Yeah.
Like that is too limited for the scope of Star Trek.
Yeah.
To stop the assassination of one guy, especially when Spock, can talk to you about the butterfly effect. It's just like maybe he was supposed to die, Captain. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I think of Jesus, maybe.
We get lore like the eugenics wars, and it's like, doesn't that need to happen? Like it's like part of the pop culture where it's like, oh, we're just
only
on our way
the
to the eugenics
timelines
wars. Like,
are off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming. Like, well, we can just make the baby you want.
Yeah.
Like, I want him to have awesome hair, a rubber chest plate.
Can you give him a Montalban accent? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Yeah. Can you give him a weird, stringy, like, grandma just woke up wig?
Yeah.
He should look like he may have caught on fire.
He combs the sides up.
Yeah. Far too much bronzer. Yeah, so
that tracks though.
Yeah.
In our timeline.
It really does.
Oh, he was a panty dropper for grandmas back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah, he's like Liberace.
So exotic.
So
fine Corinthian leather.
So the Paramount execs were so not into Gene's idea that they kicked him off the project altogether, gave him a ceremonial executive producer credit, and told him to stay quiet and stay away. They brought in Harv Bennett. Harv Bennett.
It is Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey Bennett.
Yeah,
I always said Harv
without the Y. Yeah.
Weird. In my mind, I've always said Harv. Harvey Bennett was brought in. He was a producer for a lot of TV. He worked with Aaron Spelling a lot. He did The Mod Squad, $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman. Later on, he would go on to do more Star Trek. He was a producer for all of the films going forward.
And he was in that sweet spot before Rick Berman took over.
Mm-hmm.
And Berman oversaw Next Generation, which cannot be argued against, but he also had some really weird He was sort of like that Joel Silver kind of like that Kevin Smith story.
Yeah, he just wants
giant spider.
He just wants the big spider. Yeah. So so Harvey Bennett came in, and he began working on it. They had a bunch of different scripts for this. Harvey Bennett started by watching every episode of the original.
He had never seen them before.
He'd never watched Star Trek before, so he watched every episode of the original series. And the first thing he thought was that it needed to have a strong villain. And so when watching the original series, he thought the episode with Ricardo Montalban as Khan would he'd be a great villain. So he made the decision to bring him back.
So cool. And that episode's so great. Space Seed, I think.
Yeah, Space Seed.
Space Seed, yeah. Season 1, episode 22.
Yeah. His wife, quote unquote wife in it, Khan's wife, was actually a crew member of the Enterprise that went with them at the end.
Oh, right. I remember that.
One of the red shirts, but she was like a...
Right. Because she
was like a historian who was like really into the eugenics wars.
That's right. She was a historian or archivist.
Like, what was the cause of the eugenics wars? It's like states' rights?
I'm
going with these guys.
Pepsi Clear.
Clonification without representation.
Clonification.
No, it's not far-fetched. They just have the timeline wrong. There are already like, you can choose what hair color and eye color your baby has.
CRISPR. You could do it in your house.
But trans people are hard to wrap their heads around.
Yeah, for real.
So they went through a bunch of different writers with a bunch of different ideas. At one point, they brought in Nicholas Meyer to take a look at the script. He wasn't yet attached to direct. He had written a bunch of screenplays at the time, Time After Time.
Love that movie.
Yeah, great movie.
We talked about it recently.
Yeah, fairly recently. Yeah. It was last week.
Jack the Ripper and H.G. Wells.
Yeah. He and what he decided to do was to go ahead and take every version of the script and have a group of writers take everything they liked out of each version of the script, whether it was just a scene, a line, an idea, put it all together and work it into a working script, which is how they ended up with all the literary references. It's how they ended up with Spock's death, although at this time, Nimoy was insisting Spock die in kind of a Harrison Ford Han Solo way. He was like, I'm sick of this shit, kill me.
Oh, there's a lot of finality vibes in this movie, which is hilarious because there's 4 more to come. But they really thought they were closing a book. Literally, they're carrying around old books.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that because Spock's death got leaked fairly early on into the fan community, and they lost their minds. They started. They picketed at Paramount Studios. There were whole halls talking about it at Star Trek conventions. One rich Trekkie took out a full page ad in Variety asking them not to kill Spock.
Is that where the I Grok Spock campaign came from?
I think no, that was earlier. That was from the 70s. That was just kind of earlier on.
Okay, because there was a button campaign about what's funny is they should have been picketing Nimoy's house.
Yes. Yeah,
it's not Paramount. If I was an exec, I would have come out and been like, he's the most iconic character we have. I don't want to kill him.
Right. So at Nimoy, once he saw the final script for Wrath of Khan, he liked it so much that he said that he'd be willing to come back for another one. So that's the point where they wrote in the little things that led to the seeds of Star Trek 3, him doing the mind meld on McCoy, the coffin going to the Genesis planet, the little things that would allow them to bring Spock back.
And they did it so masterfully. I'm not saying Star Trek 3 is nearly as good, but what a fun sci-fi way to bring someone back.
Because of rules, only Jack B. Sowards got a screenplay credit, although there's upwards of like 5 to 6 writers who have ideas, concepts, lines, pieces of their work in this. Jack B. Sowards was also a writer on Next Gen.
Jack B. Sours, Jack B. Quick.
Yeah. Let's see. He wrote Deliver Us from Evil, which was a 1973 movie. Yeah, just kind of a writer for hire. And then of course, our Harvey Bennett also has a story by credit with Jack B. Sowards. Nicholas Meyer. This was one of his. This was his second big film after Time. He also did the 7% Solution, Invasion of the Bee Girls. Those were both small. I'm sorry, those were just writing credits. This was his second feature directing credit, although he did direct the 1983 The Day After, that big nuclear holocaust TV movie.
That was the one that was like in Britain and freaked people the fuck out.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there was an American one too, right? Because Day After was the British one that was scarier.
Yeah. And then
maybe, but yeah, it was banned from TV after that. People were now we're just like, just tell us when it's happening, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just very much like to be able to get a drink first.
Yeah, exactly. I want a cyanide pill and a bottle of whiskey, please.
Yeah, please.
I don't plan on surviving shit.
Yeah, he did so much ghostwriting too. Tomorrow Never Dies, he was a ghostwriter on the 97 Bond movie. Volunteers he directed right after this.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. Of course, he would go on to direct Star Trek 6. He had an uncredited rewrite on Fatal Attraction. So yeah, Nicholas Meyer did a great job directing this. Let's see. They decided they wanted to have it be go with a lot of nautical themes, so they redesigned the costumes to look more nautical. They had things like the whistle at the when they come on.
We see an actual boatswain's whistle, which is fascinating because Trek has always had the sound, but never the whistle, right?
Yeah, and it's like an electronic little.
No, it always did the woo.
But we had never seen someone actually hold the whistle and do it before.
Yeah, he has an Admiral's Cross, which that was never, other than the dots, they never really wore their rank like that. That was purposeful.
Yeah.
What else? The calling of every officer, Mister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mr. Savick.
But obviously, the themes are highly nautical. If you've plotted through Moby Dick.
Yeah,
it's like 20% story, 80%. This is what it's like to be on a fucking boat.
Yeah, Harvey Bennett said he wanted to bring this back to being Hornblower in space.
Those bell bottoms rocked.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say we should have had like an interstitial description of the Genesis chamber and all of it's like a Wes Anderson style information dump, a la Moby Dick. It's like, how much longer is this part of the fucking movie? God damn, they're just going to keep talking about the Genesis chamber? Instead, we got just vague. Yeah. The Genesis chamber for a lifetime. Like, what does it do?
The three guys had to go take an expo dump together. Is how we got the information. Like, come join me in this room, bros.
This was a kind of a bellwether special effects movie, too. The Genesis sequence that they watch was the first fully realized CGI sequence ever in a movie.
it's like a rendered texture on top of something too. It's not just lines.
Right.
They flattened or they unflattened a flat image.
They invented the idea of particle effects for this.
Wow.
The little
And then the Kobayashi Maru, the where that 3-dimensional computer graphic where it shows the ship and where it's like inside of a compass, inside of a round global I don't know what that's called, celestial compass. But and then the neutrals, like those graphics were pretty impressive. Like, whoa.
Well, and
when an awesome new screensaver dropped.
We get like 45 minutes of like love letter to the Enterprise in the motion picture, and this one's just like
boom, bang, boom.
Look at the ship go through the screen, like
it looks
it's
cool.
like a kid playing with 2 ships in their hands. You can see both of them in the frame most of the time when they're fighting each other, which is not super realistic, but at the same time, it's cinema.
Yeah.
And them training, we got back to that like there is a federation here.
The Enterprise was parked for 2/3 of the motion picture.
Well, yeah. And okay, so all right, really quickly back to the CGI sequence on. So that was done by Lucasfilm ILM's computer graphics group. It was their first major piece that made it into a film, and that group would later get spun off into their own division and then their own company called Pixar.
Pixar, yeah, crazy.
So
this led to WALL-E and all those other things, that moment.
Yeah. This is the first on-screen thing done by what would become Pixar. Yeah. Let's see. So, the creature effects, the little guy that goes in the air, the little centipede guys, those were, what were those called? They were something.
The SETI eels.
The SETI eels. Yes.
Yeah, they're indigenous to that planet, yet part of their reproduction and evolution involves the human brain.
Yeah.
Or the mammalian brain, at the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were other life forms on this planet before.
Yes, because
what does Khan call it? Does he say it's the only?
Or he said no, because
it's the only surviving.
Surviving.
He says surviving
because it was SETI Alpha 5, and everything else died when SETI Alpha 6 blew up.
Right. I miss. I guess all these years. Yeah, surviving. Yeah.
The SETI eels, those were done by Ken Ralston, who was head of creature design on Return of the Jedi just prior to this. There was a scene with where when it goes into the air, they made a giant version of Chekhov's ear and had it burrow down into it, but it was deemed too gory by test audiences, so they took it out.
They made a giant ear. That's so
Chekhov's
smart.
ear.
I mean, we see that in this movie.
No,
right? There's some body horror.
They took it out of the theatrical release.
They took it out of the theatrical version. Yeah, so it's the one where it occurs in. Yeah.
They put it back in.
Yeah. The music. So they didn't want to reuse any of Jerry Goldsmith's motion picture. So they brought in James Horner, who would later go on to do Titanic, Lord of the Rings. Not Lord of the Rings, right? No. Lord of the Rings was what's his face? Avatar, Aliens, Lord of the Rings. He worked with
he's Cameron's
dude a lot. Yeah. Legends of the Fall. This is a great soundtrack. He based everything. He based all of the Federation and crew themes off of the Star Trek main motif, the dun 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 dun. You can really hear that.
The main theme in this and the music that plays throughout, obviously it's not as punchy and memorable as the motion picture theme, which would become Next Gen.
Yeah.
Intro and the original Star Trek. I can produce those in my head, like note for note. and not so much this one. It drifts away from me and almost drifts into the other music, but hearing it throughout the movie, it's just perfect.
Absolutely.
It's really subtle
For
too.
where it is. It's subtle and it's rousing.
Yeah. Yeah,
all those things.
And Khan had a leitmotif too, which was just like 11 notes. That was and a little synthy.
And some real dark, some deep and bass notes, but not like with the like cymbals and trumpets, because they showed Khan, and it was a reveal, but it was all boom, boom, boom. It kind of went down in sound instead of.
And Khan's motif was French horn heavy.
Yeah,
and also he has one of my favorite sound effects ever. He has that buzzing bee sound that they use in a lot of modern films. That zzz. It's a New Zealand spinning. I forget what they call it, but you spin it on a string. And it whistles, and it sounds like a bee. But it's the most like psychologically you should be in fight or flight decision mode right now.
Actually, I think that was an invented instrument.
Interesting.
Or a song.
But it's definitely a string swinging thing. I'm pretty sure if it's not the same instrument, it's that same concept of the orbiting sound.
There was a Craig Huxley invented what's called the blaster beam. And it's like a guitar in a way, but it's 12 to 18 feet long.
Is it the like suspension bridge cable that you hit with a hammer, or is it a different one?
I'm not sure,
because there's a really cool classic sound
played by
machine.
plucking the strings with fingers or striking with sticks, pipes, or even large objects. But they have so it's tensed wires like a guitar, and mounted guitar pickups that can be moved to alter the sound.
Oh, that's so rad. Movable pickups. Oh my god, I want to make weird. Wow. Anyways, that's a conversation for another time.
But produces a distinctive bass note, so maybe that wasn't the buzzing.
I met a couple of people from New Zealand that had brought a couple of implements over, and I got to see it, and just hearing it in real life gives that same feeling of like unease. It's very cool for storytelling and stuff too.
Well, you could see how the up and down movement would make that bee, like you said, that orbital sound.
Yeah.
It's its own propulsion sound.
The ending scene where the casket lands on the Genesis planet, and we see it like amongst all the things, was the very last thing they shot. They were almost out of time and money, so they just went to Golden Gate Park with some smoke machines.
That's rad. That's so cool. That makes me think of what's his name, Chris Evans, with the prosthetic over his face in the shawarma scene, where they're like,
"Yeah,
hey, you're here at the opening. Can we film you really quick?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They let's see. Originally, they Nicholas Meyer wanted to name this film "The Undiscovered Country," which is a reference to Hamlet.
Hamlet's soliloquy.
Yeah,
and that's because of the themes of like life and death and aging.
And all the literary themes. They wanted to continue that. However, the
undiscovered country from which no traveler returns.
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole soliloquy is to live or to die. Mm-hmm. Should I kill myself or should I hang in there?
However, the executives decided that wasn't a good name. They decided they were going to name it The Vengeance of Khan, which they then had to change because Revenge of the Jedi was about to come out.
Wrath is way better. This is wrathful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not vengeance.
It's
wrath.
Wrath.
The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, Ahab and the whale.
And it also is just, Wrath of Khan is a phrase that sounds good.
Oh yeah, rolls right off this, like Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Revenge of the Jedi is, cool and all, but Return of the Jedi it's just a better sounding phrase.
Yep.
Yeah.
Music.
Yep. Our cast, of course, all of our main cast returns. And rounding it out, we have, of course, Ricardo Montalban as Khan Noonien Singh, a role which he originated in the original series, as we mentioned.
A single television performance that created hundreds of hours of Star Trek content.
Yeah.
Iconic characters.
Like every single television show that followed this has some Noonien Singh aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, now it's old hat, but yeah, I mean, imagine seeing that reveal, even knowing it's called The Wrath of Khan. You know,
Like,
just be like, God, I remember that guy.
Brent
Now-
Spiner is his like great grandpa, basically, right? Like he plays a Noonien Singh.
No.
Spiner comes. The character that Spiner plays is a descendant of.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a
Khan.
descendant
Later.
of Khan. I thought that was a time travel thing. You're right. That is.
Khan was created prior to
Next gen
1996, but we don't know how much earlier. But the war broke out then.
Yeah.
They were exiled.
Khan is Gen X.
Yep, he is. He
Yeah.
totally is. Because I'm a creep.
Before the eugenics wars, Khan controlled roughly 1/4 of the Earth's population.
Yeah.
He was a king.
Khan.
Khan.
Like Genghis Khan.
Yeah. That's obviously, named after Genghis
Right,
Khan.
and he wanted to repopulate the Earth, descendants of.
Ricardo Montalban got his start in Mexican cinema in the 40s.
Caliente.
His breakout in American film was he's a Latin from Staten Island in 1941.
The Latin from Staten?
He's a Latin from Staten Island.
Wow, they had it. It was right there in front of them too, and they just fumbled the ball on that title.
Yeah,
That's why you have to hire a guy to name your movies.
Yeah, exactly. Where's the Cars guy when you need him?
Yeah, seriously.
He's like, what about just car? No.
Like,
Throw an S on there.
what's this indefinite article doing it at the front here? Why is he a Latin? That seems kind of racist, right?
Yeah.
You guys might not get this, but your kids will love it. Like, holy shit, man.
We didn't expect any Latins.
He became Mexican.
On New York's garbage island.
Yeah. He became Mexico's biggest movie star in the 40s. But he wanted to break out in American cinema. But he always, had to play like the Latin lover. In 1947, he starred opposite Esther Williams in Fiesta. He did a number of movies with Esther Williams. He was On an Island for You. In 1948, he was in The Kissing Bandit with Sinatra. He was in...
What is The Kissing Bandit?
It's a Frank Sinatra movie about a bandit that kisses.
And all I can think of immediately was Sinatra and Montalban kissing.
Does he steal kisses?
Yeah.
Or is he giving them out unrequested? Because I think that's worse.
Now we call that assault. But back then he was a lovable bandit.
So
Bandit.
it seems to be a Zorro type thing. It's set in the 1800s, and Ricardo Montalban as to inherit his father's inn, but he finds out that the inn was a front for his activities as the kissing bandit, who would steal from the rich and kiss the ladies as he stole. And he falls in love with the governor's daughter.
Oh. Aw.
So yeah, he did a bunch of like MGM movies in the late 40s into the 50s. Then he started doing some B movies when his ascendant star started descending. He
A lot of TV shows.
and a lot of TV in the late 50s and 60s.
Appearances.
Yeah.
A lot of telemarketing.
He was in Wagon Train, Chevron Hall of Stars, the 20th Century Fox Hour, the Schlitz Playhouse, which I spent some time in the 90s in the Schlitz Playhouse. Let me tell you, it only ends in headaches and bedwetting.
How did Schlitz make it so deep into Arizona? Because I grew up a Schlitz child also.
Schlitz and
Schlitz play. What a rep company they have.
Yeah. They're all like, Stella, I'm drunk.
Like, we're not doing Tennessee Williams.
Like, God damn it. God, this is cabaret, god damn it.
Glenn Ross somehow.
Yeah. But he did a bunch of Broadway also. And yeah, just Alfred Hitchcock Presents, just tons and tons of TV in the 60s. Then in 1977, he got the role of Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island. And that ran for, 7 years.
With Air Baby, which is who we did in a Bond movie.
Yes,
so we've
that's
done
right.
both of the Islanders.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. That show is a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It is a weird show.
It's
it was
like,
probably a
well,
weird show at the time. It was a
what
weird
if
show
the
in
Island of
90s.
Dr. Moreau made you horny? You're trapped here, but it's not bad. The drinks are okay.
Yeah. What if the Island of Dr. Moreau made you horny and Esther Williams showed up?
You're like, it's kind of nice here, but I don't feel comfortable at all. Like, I'm not relaxed.
Yeah, how do we leave when your fantasy's done? Ugh.
Why do you guys keep popping up out of nowhere? Have you been watching us the whole time? Like, no, it's perfect timing every time.
I really don't want the weird shit up here to come to life.
Apparently, they were the producers were so sure of him being willing to return as Khan that they didn't even ask him. They simply wrote the script and then gave him a call when they were ready to start filming.
Oh, dude, if I wrote this script, I'd be like, yeah, he's fucking totally coming back. Are you kidding me?
Also, like,
we're going to have Shatner yelling his name. He's going to, yeah.
But yeah, he's on Fantasy Island. Yeah, he wants to do a big budget movie. He's going to come.
Yeah.
He wants to be the second lead in a big movie.
I'm sure that part of that letter was like, I don't know if you saw the motion picture, but we would love to make another movie and have you be the freaking centerpiece of it. Your name will be in the title.
That's why revenge was so prevalent in Shakespeare, is because it's a very easy emotion to convey, and it's a very easy emotion to relate to. Even if you're not, there's the sociopath level, but even at the base level, it's easy to relate to, like, that guy fucked me over, fuck that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's more entertaining when it's not a sociopath. Not to say that Khan's not a sociopath, right. But like the Count of Monte Cristo is very much like, my revenge is pretty well founded. This too, it's like, dude, you left us to die.
He has a point.
I'm going to do at least the same to you.
He has a point that Kirk never bothered to check up on him or have anyone else check up on him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Kirk's not good at the paperwork.
No.
He doesn't, the last one.
Yeah. He doesn't care. When his adventure's over, his adventure is over.
Kirk barely has object permanence. Like, once it's out of sight,
fucking for real, dude.
But that's why it's powerful, because it's the second time that Khan and his people have been exiled. Like, they just keep sending these people off somewhere.
He is a big baby. He is still in that developmental stage. At the end, Bones going, Kirk, come quick. And he looks over at the chair and he's like, oh, where's Spock? Oh my God, my friend. He hasn't been on the bridge for 45 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, he's raw emotion, and we, not for the first time and not for the last. That's the difference with Picard, you know what I mean? Like, Picard gets riled up, but it takes a while. The screaming of Khan, that's just the sight of him.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know where we're going from there. He's just like,
he's so mad. He yells his name twice.
And again, like Thoreau said, Khan's gripe was you didn't check on us. The very sight of him.
Yeah. This kind of reinvigorated his career a bit. He would go on to be in Naked Gun. And
so good, a Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. So good.
And Spy Kids 2 and Spy Kids 3.
We didn't do the Spy Kids movies, right? We only did
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, and the superhero high school one too.
Yeah,
Sky High.
superhero. Yeah, which was not a Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, just felt like it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Rodriguez pulling Montalban because Rodriguez is Mexican also, right?
Yeah, I mean he's
I forget.
He's from Texas, but I believe
I know he's a Spanish speaker.
Yeah,
but Oh, if he's from Texas, then yeah.
Yeah, the Spy Kids movies were very Latin vehicles.
Yeah.
For,
Yeah, I have not seen any of them beyond the first one.
Oh, they're not bad movies.
Again, another series.
It has
interesting.
I
Series.
don't know if it holds up. I haven't watched it in years, but I watched it with Cody and with Hilla.
One of the Spy Kids has Steve Buscemi saying that line, "Does God stay in heaven because he too fears what he has created?"
Dude, that somehow is like one of the most deep philosophical lines ever uttered in a film.
Yeah, that's
I've seen the online discussion of like that didn't come from anywhere. That came from that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's just Steve Buscemi in Spy Kids.
And is he he becomes a MODOK, or was that George Lopez?
That was George Lopez in Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
All right.
Bibi Besh plays Carol Marcus, James Kirk's ex-lady. This is probably her most well-known role, but she was in Who's That Girl, the Madonna movie, Steel Magnolias.
Was she in the original series at any point? She wasn't like a love interest of his?
Not that I'm aware of.
She looks a lot like Majel Barrett, who was in the first one and the series and married to Roddenberry. But yeah, that same sort of short bob blonde hair.
Prior to this, she did a lot of TV. She was in an episode of The $6 Million Man, a bunch of TV movies. Yeah, this was kind of the biggest thing she had done up to this point. Later on, she would be in a lot more TV, Cagney and Lacey, Family Ties. She was also in Tremors.
Yeah, good movie.
I think that's where I recognize her from because she seemed really familiar.
And Steel Magnolias.
Yeah.
Did I hear that?
Yeah, Steel Magnolias.
Okay.
Drink the
I
juice,
watched Steel
Shelby.
Magnolias nearly as much as I watched Tremors as a kid.
I don't know why I've seen Steel Magnolias as much as I have.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Steel Magnolias?
Yeah.
It's a good.
It's a hell of a cast.
Yeah, it's a good 80s lady weepy movie.
Yeah, like Fried Green Tomatoes is an incredibly entertaining movie.
Another one I've never seen.
Oh, Fried Green
you'd like
Tomatoes
that
is
one.
fabulous.
You'd like that one.
Dude.
I like Fried
That's
Green
a movie
Tomatoes.
that lives in my brain forever.
I like that movie more than
Monday.
I like Steel Magnolias, but yeah, they're both
Same
they're
here.
both
Same here.
good. What's her name? Bibi Besh got nominated for 2 Emmys. One for a TV movie and one for a guest role on Northern Exposure.
She's the best around.
Oh, damn. Man, I love Northern Exposure.
Oh, hell yeah.
I miss the 90s. God damn it.
Merritt Butrick stars as David Marcus, Kirk's kid.
You mean Rocky from the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Right? Let's see. Merritt Butrick. He immediately after this was on Square Pegs, that Canadian
high school.
high school show with what's her face? Sarah Jessica Parker.
And Jamie Getz.
Yeah.
Hurts.
Yep. Square Pegs. Merritt Butrick would go on. Oh wow. He died really young. He died in 1989. Of AIDS. He was a gay actor who contracted AIDS in the 80s and passed away.
Almost
That's his
guessed that, but I
89.
felt like it being sensitive.
Age 29.
Yeah. That's he has 2 panels dedicated to him as part of the AIDS quilt. So very. Oh, he was in Zapped also. Huh. Yeah.
Nice.
He came back to play it for an episode of Star Trek: The Next Gen.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. His final on-screen role was in Death Spa, which was a horror film.
Oh, I hope. Otherwise, it's about what meningitis.
Paul Winfield plays Captain Terrell. Paul Winfield is a kind of a classic character actor. He was in The Terminator. Mm-hmm. Did a bunch of TV stuff. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff that I don't like. No, like I know him from this mostly, but he showed up in a lot of things.
It's like he took over the reins from Yaphet Kotto.
Yeah.
It's genre character actor.
Yeah, absolutely. He was in Cliffhanger, Serpent in the Rainbow, Mars Attacks, just like Fifth Build, like he'd be a cop or, Kirstie Alley as Lieutenant Savick.
Look who's Vulcan. I've been waiting this whole time.
Ooh, hot dog. Yeah. Her 80s were pretty big prior to Cheers. Summer School, Shoot to Kill, Village. Oh, that's later on. But then, yeah, of course, she's probably best known as Rebecca in Cheers, and whatever her name was in Look Who's Talking.
And then she was famous for being fat, and then now she's famous for being a Scientologist.
Yeah. Yeah, she got famous for being fat, but she was like, I don't know, she wasn't that fat.
No, don't ask
really
me that.
wasn't.
Well, I remember her pushing a lot of the diet shakes and things like that in the late 90s.
Yeah, because she tried to make, that's how she got famous for being fat, is that she started making a buck shilling weight loss stuff.
Right, but it was the first time I remember that body positive stuff. Mm-hmm. Not like we were overly hating fat people in the 90s, but
Jenny Craig and things like that, where it's like, yeah, just look at what you're eating.
Yeah.
And then she's like, it turns out it was Thetans. Sorry, Jenny Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because
that's what they believe.
She's not as wild now, but there were a couple of moments, Leah Remini coming out era, where it was like, oh shit, this is about to get really ugly in her life. I think that they probably pulled her back. when Scientology draws you back in.
No, she's one of those, she's one of the examples of like, Scientology has nothing to do with it. John Travolta and Tom Cruise are pretty good at their fucking jobs.
Yeah.
Just being a Scientologist, Jenna Elfman or whoever, that's not, even though that's how they sell it to you.
Yeah.
But there was no comeback for this woman. That just wasn't in the cards. We didn't love her that much. Shelley Long, we did.
So, yeah, exactly. But I mean, Kirstie Alley was like, I guess later on she did get pretty big, but she in the 90s
big.
In the 90s she was big in the way that Della Reese was, not Della Reese, what's her face from
Delta Burke.
Delta Burke was big, like,
and Della Reese.
Yeah. And Della Reese, sure, but yeah. But no,
big lady.
She was faced with a class action lawsuit because in 2010, because the Church of Scientology owned a nutrition company called Organic Liaison. She did a series of promotions for them saying she lost 100 pounds using their weight loss products, when it was actually due to an extreme regimen of diet and exercise and getting ready for Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Kirstie Alley, a person who played Savick just fine.
I love to drag a Scientologist, though. It's just we don't always get the opportunity to.
Yeah, no, fuck them.
Yeah. We talk about Tom Cruise enough. It's fun to get the other ones.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to make fun of a working class Catholic, but these millionaires with their weird sci-fi, yeah,
there's
open season all the time.
Yeah.
Where is Shelley Miscavige? That all.
No, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
It's silly.
I'm gonna stand up in this. This has to stop now. This is fucking ridiculous.
It's silly, guys. It's a little silly. Yeah. And our final role of note, Judson Scott plays Joaquin, Khan's main dude.
His main dude.
Yeah.
His ride or die bro.
Yeah.
We got the whole Wild Hogs crew.
Is that his Spock, I guess?
I guess, yeah.
Because he's
I
like
don't
trying
know.
to like, he's trying to balance him out. He's like, but we're free. Think of the
I don't
freedom.
think
He's like,
I don't think that Kirk and Spock ever had a wrestling match that turned into sex. But I
that's-
believe these
well,
guys did.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know if Kirk might have tried.
Maybe, but Spock would find the illogic in but
Yeah. Judson Scott would go on to play other characters in Star Trek. He was in Next Gen and in Voyager. Voyager, he played a Romulan.
And we also saw him in Blade.
Oh, yeah, we did. We saw him in Blade.
I love that you can play multiple characters in Star Trek just with like a slightly different makeup application.
He was in
So cool.
He was in the V series.
Oh, that's cool. I love that.
Yeah, V was very big for a minute there. He was in the Dukes of Hazzard. He played Lee Benson. Everyone's favorite.
Oh, you should look up a mini bio on the guy that played Boss Hog. He's way more interesting than I ever thought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dude seems like he'd be interesting.
Yeah, actually. But yeah. Anyways.
This is interesting. Judson Scott and who was the other one? Merritt Butrick. They both appeared on the same episode of Star Trek The Next Gen.
Oh, interesting.
Dope.
So Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, has 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was reviewed by Siskel and Ebert.
Okay. Do they both like it or neither?
2 thumbs up.
Mr. Spock convincing Admiral Kirk to once again take command of the Starship Enterprise in its latest adventure, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, one of the 4 big summer movies that we'll be reviewing this week on Sneak Previews. Across the aisle from me, Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And this is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
Our next film was a very pleasant surprise. It's the new Star Trek movie called Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And as with Hanky Panky, I went in with very low expectations because I don't particularly like science fiction. I was never a fan of the Star Trek TV show. And most importantly, I thought the first Star Trek movie was a worthless bore. Not this time, though. The new film is full of rich characterizations, strong emotions, and a story that is entertaining and touching at the end. The new film concerns another venture of the Starship Enterprise going into combat against the evil creature Khan, played by Ricardo Montalban, who is in the process of stealing a secret life-giving process called Genesis. Here's a scene where the Enterprise swings into action with Admiral Kirk and the regular crew in control, with one major addition, a Vulcan woman.
This is Starfleet Operations. Enterprise is clear for departure.
Admiral on the bridge.
Pre-stage flux chillers port. Pre-stage.
Of Lady Vulcan.
Sort of majestic, and that's really the tone of this picture. The action now gets more fierce as the Enterprise comes under direct attack by the evil Khan, Ricardo Montalban, who claims that Kirk, William Shatner, left him and his family marooned on an island, but Kirk is surprised by the attack.
They knew exactly.
On an island.
What's most entertaining about this movie is its broad and heroic style. You can even hear it in the music there. Personified most by Admiral Kirk, beautifully played by William Shatner. He's relaxed, confident, good-humored, and brave. That's an old-fashioned character with old-fashioned movie hero traits. In a strong film, it also really has those same traits. It's relaxed, it's confident, it's good-humored. I thoroughly enjoyed this film from start to finish.
This is the Star Trek movie they should have made the first
You
time.
better
I
believe
am
it.
a fan of the TV series, and this is the kind of movie I was waiting for. It has the 2 things Star Trek was always best at, ideas and character development. Star Wars, those types of movies are basically action and special effects. But this Star Trek movie has the Genesis idea, It has that really nice relationship between Mr. Spock and Captain Kirk, never developed more fully than in this movie.
Right.
And then Ricardo Montalban.
Surprising.
He gives Star Trek what it needed all along, the two movies anyway, a really colorful, interesting villain. He's the Darth Vader of Star Trek. It's just what they needed.
Yeah, and I like that they went with more standard, low-key special effects. That beam. Just that beam, and it's amazing. I mean, I don't know how they exactly do that, but it's amazing enough, but it's done of a style of maybe 15, 20 years ago. Amazing. And I just thought that this film was a throwback to a solid kind of entertainment as opposed to a flashy pinball exercise.
When you mention those special effects, don't you always find it amusing that they have the technology to travel between the stars, and yet they can never really knock out another ship?
Yes.
Just a close hit, you know, and there's a lot of smoke, and they're shaking up a little bit.
There's smoke always there, but it hasn't come through anything. You know, that's another problem, too. No hole in the ceiling.
Lots of damage. We'll have to repair the
But
ship, and the next shot, it's always repair.
Very entertaining film. And 2 strong yes votes for Star Trek II, the latest adventure of the Starship Enterprise. This one is much better than the first Star Trek movie.
So,
Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. They both liked it.
Yes votes.
Yeah, this is before thumbs existed. Before they invented thumbs.
They brought up how Roger brought up how it was more like the TV series. It's I don't think we mentioned that the project was supervised by Paramount's television unit rather than its theatrical division.
I thought that was just the motion picture.
No,
it makes more sense for this.
I think that this may have also been the precursor to the eugenics wars, calling Khan a creature.
Yeah.
Yep. Like he left him on an island. He just can't wrap his head around science fiction.
You mean a superhuman? You called this. It's like calling Magneto a creature. This creature? It's like, dude, he's gonna pull the iron out of your blood. Look out, bro.
So that's about it. Guys, we ready to jump into the Wrath of Khan?
I guess we better.
Yeah, we should probably, because we're recording ourselves talking about it. Here we go. This is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. We open on a credit sequence in space. Then we cut to Lieutenant Savick commanding the Starship Enterprise. They're on a rescue mission to save the crew of the damaged ship Kobayashi Maru. They get attacked by Klingons. They're damaged. All of our beloved original crew members die. Oh, but wait. A door opens and it was just a simulation.
I love that they get to, in universe, act the way they would comically act on the TV show when there's damage and dying.
Yeah.
Didn't you like my performance? Because they always, everyone on Star Trek jokes about that. The camera just going back and forth. And yeah. And I don't know what it is, but chairs and consoles explode immediately, no matter what.
Yeah,
has been hit.
Well, and and always like wires fall down from the ceiling.
Yeah. Just like, what? It hit us enough for that.
But yeah, no, they
we shouldn't have used sugar glass for the ceiling bit.
This is Spock dying, of course. Here was both thematically an allusion to what would happen later, and Kirk's "Aren't you dead?" to Spock, but also was a way to throw off the rumors of Spock's death, so that people might not see it coming later in the film, even if they had heard.
Then also, again, Nimoy and his agent, in the first one, he wanted a real grand entrance, and he wanted it to take a long time. This time, he's our first actor shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very first shot of a person.
Yeah, no, famously, Nimoy and Shatner would vie for top billing, for the big shots, for the... They were the two big guys.
I love that they both thought that they were more famous than the other, basically.
Yeah. And they were both equally B-list.
Yeah.
Right. They're clearly here to see me.
Yeah. They were both at best like middle B, not even B+ list the whole way.
Well, and like a decade later, everyone on the rest of the crew or cast is, and us. They're here to see everybody, you assholes, both of you.
Yeah. Kirk enters the simulation bridge. Saavik asks Kirk about the simulation. He tells her it's a no-win scenario designed to test the character of Starfleet officers. It can't be won.
And he's holding a analog. He's holding a copy of A Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, exactly. Which we find out in the next scene when he meets with Spock was given to him by Spock on his birthday. It's an antique. This is where we discover that Kirk collects antiques. A trait that would be important in the next two films.
Yep.
We also learned that Kirk back in the day took the Kobayashi Maru 3 times.
Yeah. Spock meets with him afterwards. They talk about Tale of Two Cities. Spock gets called away. He's getting ready to command the actual Enterprise with a crew of fresh, young recruits that they were testing these officers right out of the academy. We cut to Kirk's apartment.
They're still trainees.
They're still trainees. They're not yet.
They're technically still cadets.
Yeah. We cut to Kirk's apartment in San Francisco. He has a really good view of the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know where his apartment is, but wow.
I mean, he's an admiral, so it makes sense.
And it's decorated by like Tony Montana's. It's a an 80s Coke dealer's apartment.
Oh, for sure. This is his bachelor pad.
Lucite and the aluminum.
He takes a different lady back here every night.
This is
that's for
23rd
slaying.
century bachelor pad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dr. McCoy arrives. He's got his birthday present, Romulan ale, which is technically illegal. It's like the Cuban cigars of the 23rd century.
Is it like made from Romulan piss or something? Like, why is it illegal? I guess it's that strong.
No, it's the Romulan. It's the Romulans.
Oh, because
they're not allowed to import it from Romula. Yeah.
That's what the neutral zone.
It's like Cuban cigars used to be.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I still suspect it's got Romulan piss in it.
But then also, even like in the next gen on 10 forward, what was that called? Like the alcohol synthahol. You could become sober as soon as you needed to. It's like, where has that been all my life?
Right. Get wasted and like time for bed. You're like turning that off so I can get a good night's sleep.
Yep. No. Oh, red alert. Here I am.
Yep. So
Bones also gives him a pair of antique reading glasses.
Yeah, which will become a plot point in a later movie.
And our fire. He looks so good with the old man, like just accepting the visual of him accepting his age with the glasses on.
Right, looking around to me like, I don't want anyone to see me do.
Yeah.
But they even take the time. McCoy mentions that like there's obviously some sort of tech, like a LASIK type situation. And Kirk's like, no, I'm allergic to that. So I can't have my eyes fixed.
Yeah.
I gotta wear glasses.
I love how they did it because there's like ways to make him what do you call that? When you are against technology.
Oh, a Luddite.
Oh, Luddite.
A Luddite. Yeah, you don't adopt new technology, not necessarily against it. But I like how they personified it as he just collects old things. He's not really like, doesn't need it.
Yeah, it's just his hobby. He collects antiques. Yeah.
It's like you don't need it.
One of the antiques in there was a Commodore computer in the corner.
He has an old clipper ship.
Yeah.
There's the nautical vibe.
A lot of nautical stuff. He was a captain. He's an admiral. He's got old ships.
Got old
and that's
pistols.
kind of a commonality between him and Picard too. Is that like missing, not even missing Earth, but a connection to Earth and their own history and their own like iconography for who they are.
Yeah, and Earth's
the Clipper ship.
Yeah, Earth's nautical history.
Yeah, respect and pining for an age they were never a part of, kind of thing, which still exists. We all do that.
Yeah, Kirk. Kirk and McCoy have a talk about Kirk getting old. Doctor tells him he should have a command instead of growing old behind a desk. Then
and he's right.
Yeah. That's the thrust of like this middle chunk of these movies.
Well, and he says a line that then Spock replicates of like, I'm your physician and I'm your friend. So they're talking about, and then Spock says, you're my commanding officer and also my friend. So they're really delving into that relationship of like, look, we're talking to James Kirk, our friend.
Mhm.
Like, this is not good for you, bro. You need to get back on a ship.
Yeah.
There's no official capacity involved.
Mm-hmm.
I love in this scene, Bones is very bluntly telling him, like, you're hiding from yourself. And Kirk sits down. Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
Yeah. This movie is so strong with its thematic like lines that play out through it, like the aging. He has a son he's never really met maybe since he was small. His like looking back on the past, and yeah.
Is that the only continuity from the motion picture? Is really just that they are older, he's an admiral, and Spock and him are now human friends.
I mean,
and this thing of like how we perceive ourselves as old and what is old, we all talk about it because we are older than we used to be, but we're not old. And so that's the kind of thing that Kirk comes around to at the end, which we'll get there. But yeah, like, you know what? I'm not old. I felt old.
I think according to the script, Kirk is supposed to be 49.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I know.
Which is in June for me.
August for
I'm
me.
48 in June.
Yeah.
That's an admiral's age.
Yeah,
Reasonable
absolutely.
for someone who is
That's
that
not old.
decorated to be. Yeah.
It's
Tell a 70-year-old that you feel old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So meanwhile, the plot's happening out in space. The starship Reliant is looking for a lifeless planet to test the Genesis device. We meet the scientists in charge, Carol Marcus and her son David. Chekhov is helping the Captain Terrell of the Reliant find.
Chekhov's first officer.
He's the first man.
He's commander now.
Which is, I love. They're like, let's send the two most important people. It's not unusual for a captain to go on an away mission, but it's just like
time
boom.
they send the captain.
Who has the most authorization and authority?
Yeah. Who's the most important person on the ship? Let's send them into danger alone.
And who's the second person?
Yeah.
No, we can't get rid of him. Where's Chekhov? Chekhov's here.
So, yeah. So they have to make sure they have to investigate this planet and see what sort of life it has on it, because they got some sort of weird signature, but they're not sure what it is. And then the planet has to be completely lifeless. It seems to me it's pretty easy to find a completely lifeless planet
out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it dives into because the scientists are so haughty and they just see the Federation as an army. And they start by talking so ethically about how, there can't be anything, but maybe we can transplant it. But it does destroy everything.
Yeah.
Just to make.
I think a good start in your search for a lifeless planet is find one that has no atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that this has a breathable atmosphere tells me, number one,
that cuts things way down.
We shouldn't go. That's not the planet for us. What was it? Jude said Mars is right there.
We're over Mars, bro.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make Mars happen.
Yeah. So yeah, they head down. They believe it's SETI Alpha 6. Once there, they find giant storage containers that are set up with hammocks, because it's ship hammocks. And Chekhov sees inside that it was part of the SS Botany Bay. He recognizes the name. They have to get out of there, but it's too late. They've been captured.
Does everybody know the origin of that name? What it refers to?
It's
Botany Bay is where the English ships came into Australia to leave the convicts.
Yeah.
It was called Botany Bay because of the beagle and things like that. But yes.
Interesting.
It was the Australian penal colony.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
There are folk songs that refer to it, but yeah. So even in the series, it was the Botany base. So they were exiled in the first one.
Yep.
And then they were fine to be exiled in the second one, but Kirk never checked.
Kurt never checked. He moved the deadstones, but he didn't move the bodies.
I think they were self-exiled.
In
from
Just
the beginning. The name always made me think of that.
Like
yeah, absolutely. No, it makes sense. But
in the episode,
in the episode, yeah, they stole that ship, and took off before they could get run down by whatever rebellion was going or wars.
Before they could get like Hussein or Milosevic.
Yeah, they were losing, so they dipped.
They froze themselves.
Khan was a war criminal. I mean, that's what he was. He was a he was a deposed dictator. Yeah, they get caught by Khan and his group of rough and ready 80s teens.
Oh my God, those shots where they cut back and they're all just like framed up like it's a yearbook photo of whatever club they were.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like the Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like the Warriors for sure. Yeah. But the framing of that shot was just like, all right, everybody. Like, well, it's like stands around like that, even if you're confronting two guys.
Later on, the scientists, when they're like talking, that one dude who's like his shirt doesn't have sleeves and he's all like jacked and like, yeah, I'm the scientist that works out.
They're all so jacked.
Yeah. Yes, it's Khan. It's revealed that this is Khan.
And he remembers Chekhov.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that Chekhov was not in the original Khan episode.
He didn't join until season 2.
He didn't join until season 2.
And this was a season 1 episode.
Season 1.
That's great.
But the inference is that he was on board. He just wasn't.
There.
He just wasn't on screen.
Wasn't on screen.
Fine.
I guess, yeah, you get a promotion to that position.
Yeah.
Chekhov was hired because they were trying to court the youth audience, and he resembled Davy Jones of the Monkees.
Yep.
God, so funny. Star Trek is so crazy, just the way that things happened.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's just like show business stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's Khan. He says that they were marooned there. It was SETI Alpha 5. SETI Alpha 6 exploded and destroyed the ecosystem of SETI Alpha 5. And Kirk never checked. There was the SETI eels killed a bunch of people, including his wife.
Blame that on Kirk not checking?
Yeah, he blames that on Kirk not checking.
I mean, the Federation, that's kind of their job, right? Like, first contact, and they're supposed to come in.
I get
and
the
be
idea
like, cool.
Kirk didn't tell anybody to go like that. They were out there.
That's never really acknowledged in the movie, but I think that's what he's getting at. It's like, did you do this off the books completely?
Like, does the Federation even know we're here?
I don't think they do. And I think that was.
I don't think so.
In the episode, like Khan is bested in the end, but he sees the spirit of Khan and these people, and he wants to give them a chance. So he finds them a planet to settle, and he wants to respect the autonomy of these people. So he doesn't tell the Federation. It's like, this is you guys now. This is your chance. We're not going to come bail you out or try and arrest you again. We're done. You're here.
I'm washing my
away.
hands. Yeah. Right. I could have blasted you out of the stars.
Mm.
But so you're on your own.
Now you got a shot. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I'm out. You got off easy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
it's kind of like him playing God and having his creation come back to kill him in some sort of way too.
I mean, every Star Trek series is full of making decisions that the Federation may or may not have ever heard about.
Yeah.
It is the Wild West.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise it'd be boring. Yeah. You know, military movies are only great when they just fucking do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah. Or what was it? Wow, how did it just slip my mind? Nicholson is the bad Guantanamo general.
A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. So all right, so he sticks the little guys in their ears, and it gets funky.
Yeah, they do such a specific thing.
Yeah, they do such a specific thing. And how did Khan figure this out? It goes around the cerebral cortex. How do you know what part of the brain it goes around, Khan?
Well, that's the one that controls those guys and things. But it's funny.
Yeah. He was a
they
dictator,
so
right?
Specifically,
and as a scientist, I assume he, maybe his wife was his experiment.
Well, there were 20 of them.
His wife, one day out of the blue, decided to do butt stuff.
And he's like, wait a minute.
Hey, oh.
I'm not saying no, but I'm also suspicious.
I'm just saying I was surprised is all.
Definitely a brainworm involved somewhere.
Yeah, that was a Robert Kennedy. Yeah. That's what he has.
It's kind of like a scary babblefish.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a Khan Star Trek novel that was written in 2001 called Star Trek: The Eugenics Wars: The Rise and Fall of Khan Noonien Singh.
I like the Clone Wars. It happened off screen for a long, long time.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in discovering the history of the eugenic wars, consult your local library. So after the stuff is put in the ears, we cut back to Kirk arriving at the Enterprise to perform a inspection. He meets a young, fresh-faced engineering recruit who's sure to be fine throughout the whole movie. He decides to cut short the inspection to take the ship out on a training cruise.
And again, like his attitude towards the Kobayashi Maru, sort of like, I don't need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You do need to do this. But he's like, no, later.
Yeah.
Later's nerds.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, Kirk out, bitches.
I'm going to read some Dickens, which somehow sounds better than this.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chekhov calls Dr. Marcus and tells her that SETI Alpha 6 was good. They're on their way to the science station to take control of the Genesis device. The scientists are all upset. They think it's a military seizure of a scientific device that could be used as a weapon. Back on the Enterprise, Saavik runs into Kirk in the elevator. Kirk is immediately like, "What's up, lady? You're looking all ready to get elevated."
Have we left Space Dock yet?
Yeah, we're out in space, and somehow the cruise is taking long enough that Saavik changed into her Taekwondo uniform.
Yeah, all of the exterior footage, the exterior scenes in the Space Dock of the Enterprise, that was all reused from the motion picture.
Yeah, repurposed. I mean, they had 6 solid minutes to choose from.
For real. Just use it. God damn.
Yeah, the shuttle taking them in, the shuttle docking, the Enterprise leaving Space Dock, all from the motion picture, and that's part of how they were able to keep the budget down.
Right. In addition to that, they repurposed a lot of the models.
They used the old model from the motion picture. They even had stuff laying around from Phase 2, the scrapped project that they were able to repurpose.
Well, yeah, and the regular one, Space Station, was a repurposed space station from the motion picture also. So
it was the Klingon ship.
Yeah,
the bridge of the Klingon ship became the regular one transporter room.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the model itself too was repurposed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's right. But they flipped it upside down. It was in the motion picture, it was the space station that they went to before the space dock. Mm-hmm. And then for this, they flipped the model upside down.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the what was it? The
Reliant?
The Reliant.
Uh-huh.
The original, that was a new model. They built the Reliant, but originally the nacelles were on top.
Uh-huh.
But Harvey Bennett happened to open the pages upside down and approved the design. So they had to actually make it upside down.
Movies are ridiculous.
They really are.
I think it looked that was a happy accident.
Yeah.
Because
But
the
that's
Reliant
all it
looks
takes,
good
millions
the way
of
it
dollars.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It would have looked weird upside down.
Yeah.
We would have accepted it, but this was perfect.
Dude makes multi-millions, and he just opened a book wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, so
It's
they
a fucking industry.
Savik's still questioning Kirk about how he beat the Kobayashi Maru.
He's still tight-lipped.
Yeah. He receives a call from Carol Marcus. It's a bad connection. It's inferred that Khan's jamming the frequencies. But she's mad at him taking Genesis away from her. Kirk assumes command of the Enterprise after calling Starfleet orders them to investigate.
So did he take command from Spock?
Yeah, there's that scene where he tells Spock that Spock's still in command of the ship, and Spock's like, I don't care, you're the Admiral, you be in command.
Yeah, Spock gave it over. He's just like, I have no ego to bruise.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, that's right. I have no ego to bruise was his response.
But also he's, even though they haven't had a conversation, he's with McCoy. Like, this is where you need to be, Jim. Like, neither of us have retired. Why are you retired?
Mm-hmm.
No, he tells
not
him
officially retired, but
he tells him directly, right? He says like Spock tells him, "You made a mistake accepting the promotion."
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Spock also tells him. He says, "Your first and best destiny is commanding a starship."
Good.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on board the Reliant, Joaquin, which I still think, I don't know, that name makes me laugh. Joaquin tells Khan that they've got Genesis, or no, they don't have Genesis, but they've got the starship. They should just go, man. Just drive. Get out of town. Let's blow the dust of this one horse quadrant off our heels and find somewhere to go.
We can go wherever we want.
We can do what we want to do. We've got to get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do.
We're white guys. The world is ours.
Yeah. We're white guys in 1982. We can go anywhere and do anything.
We got some cocaine.
But Khan's all, nah. He tasks me, and that's when he gives the famous Moons of Nibia and Tari's Nebula, Perdition's Flames.
Yeah.
So he delivers that.
So meanwhile, while en route to Regula 1, Spock asks about Genesis. So Kirk takes him to show him the classified recording, and for some reason also calls in the medical doctor to view this highly classified recording that has nothing to do with medicine.
Like I said, 3 dudes taking an expo dump.
Yep.
Come with me, bros.
Yeah.
I feel like you tell everyone at this point.
Yeah, this is where we get the recording that explains Genesis is a terraforming device that can completely remake a planet in minutes. McCoy, as usual, is horrified.
And it's so fun to see him get mad at Spock, but it was quite irrational because all Spock is like, fascinating. He just learned about it too.
Yeah.
So he's not even processing the ethical implications. He's just like, fantastic. And then, like, to its preferred matrix. That's just a fact, McCoy. But he's coming at Spock like he made it.
Yeah. No, McCoy gets so mad so fast.
Are you out of your Vulcan mind?
And he's kind of racist. Let's be clear. He's kind of racist.
Yeah, he always was.
You green-blooded.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, stop bringing up my blood. What the?
That's like, pointy-eared, green-blooded. Like, dude, that's not okay.
Yeah, that's a prejudice that's very specific. It's like anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
It's like, I really hate these guys.
Anti-Vulcanism.
Yeah. The Vulcans are...
Which means freezing things instead of heating them.
Yeah, right. So they arrive at Regula 1. They see the Reliant. They don't know what's going on. They think maybe it's not answering their hails. They think maybe it's just a has something wrong with its communications.
And I love that everyone vibes Savick for being like, this is what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she quotes the regulations. Yeah.
And it's great that one of his first moves is a total mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't follow regulations.
A little rusty.
Yeah. That is also a theme through it, like following regulations. What do regulations say? And when regulations are useful and when they're not.
Yeah.
Especially fighting pirates.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like when they would constantly make laws against pirates. Pirates would be like, all right, good to know.
Oh, yeah. Pirates would steal a galleon and roll up on you with the old flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Only to shoot at you.
Just shoot at you like a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, so that they had regulations then of like, when you approach another ship, even with the flag, you have to do this, this, and this so you don't get shot at. Like, yeah.
Right. It's like, England and Spain has rules of engagement. We're pirates. Yeah. And so Kirk knows to fight a pirate, you sometimes got to be a pirate.
Yeah. He put one of Nicholas Meyer's things was he put signs all over the place because he figured it's places, official places have signage. There's signage everywhere.
There's one that says authorized personnel, and it's just on a regular brass pole. I don't know. You would think at least LED signs that they could change.
There was a sign that was just on a stand.
There's a print shop. There's a print shop on the Enterprise.
Like in a lobby. Like when you go into a lobby, like a sign on a stand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Authorized personnel. It was just like, okay, that's where the bankers go.
There was a no smoking sign on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Only for the simulator.
In the simulation.
I didn't know smoking was a thing. I never have seen anyone in the future smoke.
Damn, I'd be smoking in the simulator all the time.
Was it Bennett was just like, we've been smoking tobacco for 400 years. You think they're going to quit in 200 years?
Yeah. I mean, they kind of overcame addiction.
Yeah. Right? It's also, smoking has dropped
you'd think
by a huge amounts just since 1982 and now. So,
but it's coming back, which I not smoking as a thing, but in media, because we tried to ignore the fact that people fucking smoke, especially when they're talking to each other.
Yeah. No, in the original series, they wanted Spock to have a quote space cigarette in one episode. He refused because one of their sponsors was Philip Morris.
I'm pretty sure Fred Flintstone died of cancer.
Yeah.
A space cigarette. I guess that's a vape.
Was it Star Wars that had the meth pipe thing?
Yeah.
The bubbles. Yeah.
The bubble thing in the first thing, and then death sticks in episode 2.
Exactly, meth pipes to come.
Yeah. So anyways, they're not.
That was a whole other industrial light magic.
Yeah. So they're not receiving a answer. They still haven't raised their shield, and then Khan fires on them. They attack, and they damage the Enterprise.
Kirk did go to yellow alert.
Yeah, he did go to yellow alert.
Readying the shields.
Yeah, it was a little too late and a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
Which I love it. He's off his game.
Yep.
He definitely didn't expect vengeance, which you never do.
I thought it was really cool. It's interesting. This is like the most dynamic we've seen these ships ever be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very much so.
Rolling around each other and kind of stuff. I will say it makes a lot of sense in this point, but later on in the movie, when it keeps happening, I'm like, why would you guys be this close to each other now that you know that you're fighting each other?
Right.
Because space battles don't happen like that. It's not all Star Wars.
Yeah.
TIE fighters and X-Wings.
Well, yeah, no, it's funny how small the Star Wars ships generally are that are in fights, other than the big command ships, which act like big aircraft carriers and barely move. But these ships are the size of.
They're a stadium.
Yeah, they're huge. These are huge ships, and so they're in space, so they can maneuver.
Ships.
Yeah, they can.
Well, the Enterprise is the flagship, so imagine the biggest one.
Yeah, exactly. But so
it's an exploratory vessel. It's fully armed, but
your point, Brian, about later them getting so close to each other, that was because of the nebula.
Oh,
Like,
that's fair.
Because
they didn't have scanner. Well, they kind of had scanners, but they
were at like
looking
half
for each other.
They didn't have visual, but yeah.
visual was
they
very choppy, and they had to be close to see each other.
The scanners were choppy.
Yeah.
They had to get close. Also, they couldn't get weapons lock.
Yeah.
Weapons lock was down.
That was
so
the thing, yeah.
getting closer made the odds better of actually hitting your target.
Visual is necessary at that point.
Yeah.
And they knocked the Enterprise out of power pretty quick.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like the ship, it's not focused on the ship as much as the first one was. And they've done it in next gen movies too, you know, the saucer separation and just taking it down in one way or another pretty quickly.
Being planet bound for most of the movie,
They mentioned, so they had the shields down, and then after that, the first volley or first and second volley, they say like they knew exactly where to hit us.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be true because Khan was on the Enterprise and he studied the schematics of the Enterprise.
Because he wanted to steal the
15
Enterprise.
years ago.
Yep. So Khan comes on the screen. He agrees to spare Kirk's crew if they give him everything about Genesis and just take Kirk on board. Kirk stalls for time, and they do a little hacking.
The stalling for time is very Harrison Ford in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Everything's fine here, putting the glasses on real slowly.
You're like, just a minute, Khan.
Sorry, Khan.
We're
You
almost
did
ready.
just shoot at us. There's quite a bit of dust here.
A lot of space dust. Yeah. So they're able to then remotely lower their shields and counterattack, so that the Reliant is also disabled. The engine room is badly damaged in this. There's a warp core breach. Khan has to retreat. And while they're heading out to Regula 1, Kirk visits the wounded in the sick bay, and the young engineer and ensign dies not in his arms, but, you know.
Hang on. Kirk is going to go check out the damage, and we see Mr. Scott has gotten lost carrying the injured engineer to sick bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, lost? Yeah.
It's like, oh, you brought this dying man to the bridge.
Oh, how
there's a better
inappropriate.
place for him.
Yeah. I was going to say, are we going to ignore that?
Be like, you came all the way from engineering? That's an 8-minute.
Yeah, and we're the top floor. It's like the penthouse. You don't mistakenly go to the penthouse.
Yeah. So they arrive at Regula 1. They're not getting any answers to their hails. Uhura is just calling over and over and over again. She is blowing up their phone.
You up? Regula, you up?
Be like, lonely, you up?
They've sent an eggplant emoji, sir.
Netflix and chill.
And a giraffe? What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Kirk, McCoy, and Savick beam down to the station. They find Terrell and Chekhov alive in a like bin, a canister. There was a rat at one point that scares McCoy.
Which at first I tried to justify. It's like, oh, it's a science station. But it was a black rat, not a white rat.
It's a science rat.
I mean, I assume it was.
That rat has
or
a job.
someone's pet. Rats can be pets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but usually it's an infestation. So where did they come? A barge, a cargo barge. Yes, same as the old ships, which is probably another nautical,
Yeah.
Despite being in the middle of the ocean, they couldn't get rid of rats.
Yeah, exactly.
Rats are everywhere. But not cockroaches here.
So they Terrell and Chekhov seem to be back in command of their mind, so they join them. They find that the transporter was recently used to beam down to the middle of the planet, so they beam down also to those coordinates after contacting Spock, who tells them in code how long the ship will take to repair. Spock is not good at being nonchalant. So, Captain, if we go wink, wink, nudge, nudge by the book,
Yeah, but it's clever.
Yeah.
He's learned how to lie. Not that lying is illogical. I'm sure but yeah, there are times to lie.
So there they find Carol and David hiding. It's David immediately tries to beat the shit out of Kirk
and stab him.
Yeah.
He hates officers. But Kirk is known throughout the galaxy for being a badass, not for being a measured, rational scientist. That's the point, you guys' job.
Yeah, but
who doesn't stab their dad?
Yeah,
who doesn't want
meeting
to
as an adult? You know.
So then Terrell and Chekhov turn their phasers on them, and it turns out they were spying for Khan all along. He orders them to kill Kirk. Terrell manages to resist the influence. He phasers himself, while Chekhov collapses and the eel just leaves his body, which is nice. We weren't told they do that.
Yeah, and it almost happened like when this quote-unquote spell was broken. Like, it didn't seem like there was anything medical or biological that made him do it. So like, what? You've regained your senses? Yeah. I'm out of here.
Yeah, so it seems like if Terrell had just held off phasering himself for a few minutes, he would have been fine.
The thing would have crawled out.
Yeah.
Oh no, the Chekhov's ear.
It almost seemed like it was the death of Terrell and the death of his leech eel that triggered the escape plan of Chekhov's eel.
The other eel was like, "Oh, Fred, Fred!"
Just the timing, I don't know.
This whole script has a Chekhov's eel.
Chekhov's eel.
But yeah, Al, I think it doesn't make any more sense. But like that one died, and it's like, oh no, I can't do this alone.
Run away! Run away!
Run away! Get off of this brain stem.
Khan transports Genesis to the Reliant. He's intending to maroon Kirk there on the planet. This is where we get the Khan.
I contend because they repeated buried alive also, but like they had Khan say buried alive, and then they have Kirk hearing it, and then when he shouts Khan, then we go outside the planetoid, and we hear the second Khan. I contend that was just like a stylistic choice. He didn't really scream Khan twice because it was exactly the same.
So this is my question. Spock and Kirk just got off the horn with each other being like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. How long do you think this shit's going to take? We have a plan. We got it. They never lose. Losing is not an option. That's all he keeps saying that over and over again. So when he gets off the phone with Khan, he's just selling this shit. He's just like, no, I'm so mad. He's like, man, we're going to fucking kill this guy in like 27 minutes.
Yeah. It's like he got on board with the arch nemesis thing. Like, this is a dude he forgot about.
Yeah.
Literally forgot him and his entire
like
people.
Moriarty Holmes, like, God, you foiled me.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, oh, I'm your arch nemesis? All right, sure. I'll do that for a little while. Sounds fun.
Is it weird that I'm your best friend, but you're not my best friend?
Right.
I didn't even think about the Moriarty and Holmes thing, but literally being like, who? Who are you? I threw you in jail? What?
But we buy it. It's so exciting. We're like, yes, they are arch nemesis. Just by him screaming that name. That way.
Just him.
Well, and the way his face bubbles up first.
Shatner did some amazing jowl work in this movie.
He did. Yeah, he's acting.
That man's face moves in unique ways.
Yeah. Like when McCoy asks him if he wants a sedative, and the way he shakes his head and like his jaw like goes limp.
Like Richard Nixon.
Yeah. So Kirk has a heart-to-heart with Carol about their past and their son. Then they take a look at the Genesis cave, which has been
He gives her a look, doll.
Yeah.
What we had was a good time.
Yeah.
I love the sea and nothing else.
I was here for a good time, not a long time.
That was more of like her deal.
Yeah.
Brandy, you're a fine girl.
She's like, I know you couldn't have settled down.
Yeah, it's like she didn't
And
even
I
give
didn't
him the
want my
option.
son raised by a soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By an absentee father. It's better he just not have one.
She is a strong, independent woman. But
Absolutely.
no
She's a
man.
Murphy Brown.
Yeah.
Well, and it gives him a lot to think about. It really does. Her being like, dude, you were a mess. There's no way we were making this happen. And him being
She's
like,
a Murphy Brown or a Sarah Connor.
It's like, oh fuck! I thought that we were gonna raise him together now. Now that we've run into each other again.
I thought we were gonna raise this 27-year-old together.
Yes. I
She
feel like
flat
that's
out made
part
that
of,
decision. She's like, I don't want him to have influence on my kids.
I feel like he's putting all the pieces together, and that's where Kirk's mind is, because he has no object permanence, and he's fucking 12 years old. Where he's like, oh, I guess I must raise this child now.
Yeah.
Like literally, the character is thinking that.
So they look in the Genesis cave. It's now a beautiful garden paradise. Kirk reveals to Saavik that he beat the Kobayashi Maru by reprogramming the computer, essentially cheating. Then he contacts Spock to beam them back to the Enterprise.
He changed the odds.
Yep.
And
yeah,
an unanswered question: the cave. Where's the light coming from?
From the Genesis process.
The Genesis sun.
I assume there's
inside the
a
cave.
tiny sun in the Genesis cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a different point.
They did set up the cave. There could just be like lights, vitamin D lights everywhere or something.
Okay.
True. Some hydroponic kind of indoor Genesis grow room kind of thing. I mean, there is enough food
it was
in the
stage
Genesis
2
chamber to last a lifetime.
If necessary.
If necessary. That's my favorite line in this whole fucking movie.
I got to say it on stage.
Another point that she now accuses him of never having to face that situation, to face death in the Kobayashi Maru. But reminder, he cheated on the third time.
Yeah.
So he did fail it twice.
Yes, he did face it twice and fail twice.
Yeah, he didn't win. There's no way to win.
Yeah. They beam back to the Enterprise. He calls Khan and taunts him a little, and they head into the nebula. Khan follows. In the nebula, shields aren't up. They can't see anything. There's no targeting systems. So they play a game of cat and mouse.
Sauce for the goose.
Yeah.
The odds will be even.
Yep.
When did Spock have goose? No, but I know he knows euphemism.
Yeah.
Colloquialism.
They at one point Spock finally notes that Khan's tactics indicate he's inexperienced and he's thinking two-dimensionally.
Yeah.
So Kirk's like, we can go down. Not just forward and back, but up and down.
Haha.
I dug the way he delivered the order. Z minus 10,000 meters.
The Z-axis.
The Z-axis. Yeah.
So they come up behind him. Kirk manages to hit the Reliant. Everyone dies on board the Reliant. Khan's mortally wounded. He activates the Genesis. He quotes Captain Ahab as he dies. They detect the activation, and they're going to try to move out of range, but with the warp drive damage, they can't get far enough away fast enough. So Spock runs down to the engine room to restore warp power. McCoy tries to keep him from going inside the sealed off area with the warp core because it will kill him. So Spock gives him the old Vulcan neck pinch and the old Vulcan mind meld, telling him to remember.
Remember, man. And it's cool. I mean, even recently, Deadpool and Wolverine did the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the crazy chamber that's going to irradiate you, and one tricks the other.
Yeah.
Does Spock upload his consciousness into McCoy's mind?
Yes.
That's the thing, and then we get his mind into the...
Yep.
And then in Star Trek 3, we'll see how that all goes.
Because he starts out sort of as an infant. He's a reborn Spock. He's not even Spock. It's like the Severance conversation or the transporter. Like, who comes back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, so he goes in, he repairs the warp drive. They're able to jump to warp, escaping the explosion. But then Spock calls down to the engine room, and McCoy answers, tells him to get down there because he realizes Spock is there. Spock, the actual captain of the ship. Kirk just took field command.
What is the engineering team doing? That Spock is like, I guess it's me. They're like,
I mean, the engineering team can't get in there to the warp drive. They're just trying to keep it running at all, I think, at this point. It's pretty beat up.
Scotty was injured. That's why McCoy was down there, and they're trying to call down to the engine room, and there's no word, so Spock just takes it upon himself. It's like, I got to go check this out. Nobody's answering. I got to go check this out.
Also, they don't specifically say it, but I think maybe his Vulcan physiology.
Yeah, allows him to survive longer than a human.
A little longer.
Yeah.
Vulcan is very hot.
I'm not gonna lie. During the scene where Kirk finds Spock in the chamber, even yesterday, I teared up.
Same.
Every time.
Every time. It's moving.
Every time. I watched it twice yesterday, and I teared up in that scene both times.
I think of it.
I hope everyone that picketed ate their hat.
You think of it as what, Brian?
I have a hard time not seeing it as a trope. And them being like, like there needs to be a needle drop that makes it funny, almost.
See, that's an interesting perspective.
like the from the SNL where they're dying.
What does that do? What you say?
What you
like
say?
The Departed
what you say?
thing?
Yeah. But it was. I mean, it was kind of one of the first instances of that made it become a trope. So
Yeah.
And there's the way Spock, like, he can't see. He like runs into the glass at one point,
like a blind cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sad.
That's rough.
So
trying to go out a patio door.
So Spock dies. Those final words: I have been and always shall be your friend. Live long and prosper. And then he dies.
Like, don't clone me. Ugh.
They have a funeral where they shoot his casket, a burial at sea essentially, but they shoot his casket out, but then it lands on the Genesis planet.
They shot it at the Genesis planet. That's how space works.
Yeah.
You don't just like lose.
Yeah, they
things
shot
in
it
space.
at it.
Yeah.
They're like, let's just shoot it at it and
see what happens.
Hope for the best.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I think the symbolism of it, I don't think anybody had any inkling that he would come back, but just the symbol of, like, he sacrificed this life. Now this life will be for birth.
Yeah.
And his casket was a torpedo casing.
It was a torpedo.
Yeah. So Scotty has bagpipes and he does Amazing Grace. That was James Doohan's idea. He was like, I'm Scottish.
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry. Is there even another song for the bagpipe? It's the only bagpipe.
It's the only
I've actually heard.
It's the only bagpipe song.
We used to have bagpipers at Old Chicago on St. Patty's. It was a nightmare taking orders.
I bet.
Taking people's orders.
I did a bagpiper event in Hawaii, and there were 12 bagpipers inside a church. And they had a sound guy, and I was like, clearly not for the bagpipes, just a microphone so you can hear someone over the bagpipes.
Yeah, they need no amplification.
That's 11 bagpipes too many.
I couldn't hear for like a week. All I heard was...
So yeah, as the casket lands, we hear Spock doing the famous opening lines of the show. It's the first time it appeared in Star Trek media since the final episode of Star Trek in 1968 or 69.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Roll credits. And that is
having Spock deliver it was good. Sorry.
Yeah, and he changed it slightly. He said it's ongoing mission, seek out new life forms. Yeah. And that is it. That is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
So good.
Unanswered questions.
Oh. It's a tight little movie.
None that I didn't already bring up.
I wonder if the Genesis planet is just populated with different types of Spocks.
So many Spocks.
They're like, we introduced some biological material. You're not supposed to do that. It's just like
they're
stalks of corn with Spock's face on it.
They're reproducing asexually now. The Spocks.
the corn Spocks, which is like sporks.
Corn Spocks?
Sporn?
It hasn't been corn week in so long.
Spock corn?
Spock is my favorite guy.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Volcorn? We'll find something.
This is the best of the bunch.
Yep.
I think so. I have a special place in my heart also for 4. I love that one a lot, but it's a very different kind of movie.
I like 5 a lot.
Yeah. I like the rest of them from this one on quite a bit.
It makes sense.
It'll be interesting comparing them to this one as kind of the standard.
But this was the template from which the rest would flow.
And then sci-fi blockbusters. You know, we were starting to get in that trench of, like you were saying, Blade Runner, Aliens. There were some other dark ones, but yeah, starting to get to that. Like, space can be fun again.
I think 2 through 4 is essentially a trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could buy that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Am I assuming we're all going thumbs up on this one?
Yeah, both of my thumbs. And something else.
Way up.
Yeah, I just love it. I unabashedly love it.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So, all right. Well, that about covers it for Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Next time on Harmless Phosphorescence, we'll be doing Star Trek III, The Search for Spock.
Which I wanted to watch right away after watching this.
I found him. He's behind the couch.
Yeah.
He's right where you left him on the Genesis planet.
Just like the blind cat he is.
We know where he is. That's where we put
Kirk's
him.
object permanence is in the titles of these movies. It's like, where did we leave him?
That is next time on Harmless Phosphorescence. Until then, thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. This has been your host, Thoreau Smiley. And from Hell's Heart, I stab at thee.
I'm Josh Cece, and I've got to go see somebody about an ear eel.
I'm Brian Lesh, and the Kobayashi Maru is my Roman Empire.
Who's been holding up the damn elevator? Oh, it's Alaric Weber.
Did you get a haircut?
Just a minute, Con.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.